Quick question. When was the last time you gave yourself something? Not because you earned it and not because you hit your goals, but just because you exist.
Yeah, something that it doesn't have to be a reward. It's not like a special treat to yourself, but, something actually deeper. Some piece of grace, some rest, some honesty, some permission to yourself.
Yeah, and here's the harder part. Why don't we? Why do so many of us find it easier to give to everybody else, but it's near impossible to give it to ourselves?
Yeah, it's always the excuses like we're too busy and we're way too behind.
I'm so behind. I'm too behind. I can't get to that right now, okay?
Everything's behind. It's always behind. I know. And it's true, but, underneath all of that, there's often something to me, it just seems really heavy and like shame. There's this weird feeling of obligation, shame.
God, I hate that word.
I know. And there's some weird belief that we don't deserve the thing that we need until we've suffered enough to have earned it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You cannot build a life that you don't believe that you're worthy of.
Mm-hmm.
You can't manifest clarity and freedom and healing, anything, if deep down you don't think you're even allowed to have it.
Allowed. Yeah, allowed to have it. Yeah, that's definitely where we're going today. Not just the gift that you give yourself, but the belief keeping you from getting it. That's something that we have to look at. The stupid belief that something is keeping you from giving you what you need for you.
You know what? Let's beat up that stupid thing.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Nature of Everything podcast with Bo and Clint, where we deep dive into the world of personal development through coin. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Nature of Everything. I'm Bo.
And I'm Clint.
Today's episode comes from a conversation that we didn't actually plan to go deep on. And then it kind of wrecked us in the best way. Like when we started with this light idea, what's the gift you need to give yourself this season? But it didn't stay light for very long.
Yeah, because, the more we peeled it back and beat up on it, the more we saw something, it's kind of darker underneath. The truth that a lot of us don't actually let ourselves have good things in so many ways. And it's based on this idea that we don't get it unless we've earned it or somehow proved it. I don't know. We've had to suffer through enough in order to get it.
Yeah. And we realized that this is a pattern. It's not just a seasonal thing around Christmas. It shows up all year long in how we rest and how we talk to ourselves and in what we think we're allowed to want. And it all ties back to value, to your self-worth.
And we talked about this in the book, actually, this idea that we're not just walking around tired, we're walking around unconfirmed, and we're still trying to prove something to someone else that actually doesn't care. They don't care what you're trying to prove because they're not paying attention. But for some reason, we're still trying to perform unauthentically.
Yeah. And look, if that hits you in the gut today, that's excellent because, that's why we're talking about it. It hit us in the gut. That's where it starts. But look, if you want to go deeper, that's exactly why we wrote the book. And that is your next step.
Absolutely. It's where we lay out the full coin framework, confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything in your life. And this episode is absolutely the perfect setup for that.
Yeah. So let's break this idea open. Not just why we withhold kindness and grace and rest and all the things from ourselves, but how to start shifting that, practicing value, feeling worth. And you know what? This is going to bug you, but even manifesting something different.
All right. Well, then let's start with this. Before you can give yourself anything, like whatever it's going to be, like you mentioned, grace or rest, forgiveness, truth, whatever it's going to be, you've got to name what you're not giving. You have to confirm what this is.
Yeah, most of us don't even realize that we're withholding it. We feel tired or disconnected or maybe resentful. But when you slow it down, you realize oh, I haven't given myself permission to feel anything real in weeks.
Absolutely. And look, name your own time frame, whatever it's going to be. But we've all gone weeks or months to where we're showing up in every aspect of our life, except for the one place, that part that focuses on you and how you're doing and if you're okay. You know what I mean? Like no kindness, no breathing room, just internal pressure and just pushing on yourself because on some level, you just believe that you haven't earned anything more than all of this pressure and all of this stagnation and trouble.
I hear that voice, don't be a martyr, Poe, right? That one, because you think you're being disciplined. You're being responsible. You're putting others first. I'm going to step back on this one. But really, you're just punishing yourself for not being perfect yet.
Absolutely. And it even sounds like what we've talked about, that negative connotation of discipline, like you're being disciplined, like in the verbal sense of it. And,
punished.
and absolutely like punished. Absolutely. So here's the moment. What's the one thing? What's one essential human need that you've been denying yourself? Is it rest? Is it just rest from all of that? Is it forgiveness to take that pressure off there? Or is it just honesty to where once you've confirmed this, you can be honest with the fact that you haven't dropped the ball in any of these areas. You're showing up. So give yourself that hope. Give yourself that moment.
I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, we talked about like, okay, well, the one place you're absent is with you. That doesn't mean that you don't ever sit in the chair and watch the show by yourself. It doesn't mean that you're never alone for a minute. It's bigger than that. It's like true reflection. It's true confirmation. It's true ownership to really kind of sit with it for a minute, to name it, to really think about it. If you're not sure, ask this. I think this is an incredible question that sort of, punched me in the gut. What would feel good right now, but also feel wrong to do? Because that's probably where you're hiding shame. Like, what would you do if you could do anything, but it feels wrong? And my guess is that your answer isn't rob a bank.
Actually, that was exactly my answer, but okay. All right. But no, that's what you confirm. In this question, you're not blaming yourself, but you get to see that pattern unfold.
Yeah. And look, I'll say this. If you're naming stuff that you've never said out loud, you just started to coin it.
Yeah. Now you've got to own why. And for a lot of us, the thing that's standing between us and what we need, again, it's that ugly word. It's like this weird feeling of shame because you know what you're needing for growth. You know what you need out of the way. You know what obligations are holding you down or obstacles or these things. And you don't want to say it out loud because you feel selfish and shameful about it.
Or not worthy. And look, it's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet and familiar. That stupid voice that whispers like, you don't deserve that. You haven't earned that. Other people get that. You, not quite.
That sneaky, sticky, gross kind of shame. And it does. I still believe that it hides behind words like discipline or standards or, just be realistic. It reminds you of all the time that, let's just say it, the times that you messed up. Because what we're really saying is we're allowing ourselves to tell ourselves that little ugly voice that you're talking about. You're just not enough. You're just not enough. As you sit here right now, who you are as this person, you're just not enough.
Yeah. And look, here's the hard part. It's the ownership because you didn't choose that belief. It was modeled or conditioned or passed down or whatever from people who kind of gave it to you and maybe without even meaning to, your coach, your parent, it's like, hey, you got to work hard on it. You got to do it. All that kind of stuff. It's like that your value had to be earned. That stupid voice in your head, and it sucks.
Well, and these false narratives that you're talking about get passed down. And for some reason, they seem so concrete and solid. And somehow, out of nowhere, you become this enforcer of the false narratives. Like you continue to place these on you, practically like punish yourself. Like you're whipping yourself into submission with false shit that's been said all these years that actually doesn't apply to you. And you push and perform and withhold from yourself, thinking that you're being all strong and stalwart and look how so stoic strong I am. Yeah. So awesome when I'm really doing this. And All of this that you're doing makes you feel unworthy.
Yeah, but
Okay.
listen, when we say own it, we don't mean carry the blame. That's that harsh, big, tough talk. You got to
Yeah.
own it, carry the blame. That's not what we mean.
Mm-mm.
We mean take your hands off of it. We mean name the shame, but then look it in the
Oh,
eye and say, you know what? I see you, and I'm not living with that anymore.
I do think that you just had a t-shirt moment when you said name the shame. So normally those are mine. How did you captured one this time?
I just wanted a T-shirt. Merry Christmas.
Okay, well, I want one. But to your point, though, if you don't really own that belief of, hey, I'm not living by this stuff anymore, if you don't own that, if you don't really get pushed through the discomfort and get comfortable with that ownership, it's going to own you. And it
Mm-hmm.
keeps writing your story, right? If you allow the false narrative to stay on you and you're not willing to give yourself that grace and forgiveness and know that there's nothing for you to earn, no matter how hard you work, if you don't get past that, you're not going to change that. You're not going to change that storyline.
Yeah. It's so important to change the story. If you've owned the belief that's behind all that, especially the shame, you're going to come to a decision point. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, are you going to hold on to it forever, or are you going to change something?
Well, and if you're going to change something, that is where intentionality comes in. It has to be there, not not in the weird little Pinterest quote kind of way. It can't necessarily come in a gentle way. Sometimes it has to come in with a practiced intention because you're liable to screw it up. And that's fine.
Yeah, because it doesn't start as a feeling. It actually starts as a decision to be intentional.
Sure. To decide that you are valuable. You don't have to wait until you feel worthy. You can act like you're worthy because you can decide that you're worthy. You act like someone who believes it over and over, and that's the practice. Or people call it all kinds of things. Fake it till you make it, whatever you want to call it. But as long as you are practicing the belief in yourself, it does become your norm. Like as you practice it into existence.
Look, and it's uncomfortable. I'm very uncomfortable with it because it's like, on the one hand, I want to be my like authentic self. And then on the other hand, I don't want people to see this part of me. It's awkward is what I'm getting at. There's a whole lot of stuff going on there.
Sure.
And so, you go to take that break and you try to go forward and you try to push through, and your brain just keeps screaming at you like, you didn't earn this, or you're being like this, or you're being like that. You know what? Show yourself some compassion, because it's not weakness. That's shame just throwing a temper tantrum, because it's losing power.
Well, I mean, and most of it's because we think that we should feel embarrassed, shameful, embarrassed, as if someone else is holding us to this standard by which we should feel embarrassed or shameful.
Mm-hmm. And guess who? And guess who cares?
Yeah, I hate to realize it. I know I hate to realize it, but nobody gives a shit about me every day to decide whether or not I should be embarrassed. So,
Right.
like intentionality with this, do it anyway. Like get rid of that and shed that. Give yourself the thing that you've been denying. Do it for you like it matters.
Take a rest like it matters. Eat like it matters. Speak kindly to yourself like it actually changes something, because I believe that it does.
You'll be tempted to dismiss it. Like, don't. Every time you practice worth, your own worth, self-worth, and even in the tiniest way, you're teaching your authentic self. You're teaching your nervous system a new truth. I don't have to earn this to keep this feeling.
You're rewriting the rule, and it just doesn't change your day. It starts to change your identity, and it begins to change the nature of everything. This isn't emotional or philosophical. It's biological, neurological. Like when you practice your worth and you do put this into practice a little bit at a time, your brain literally starts to change.
Your reticular activating system. We can also just kind of like blow past that and think that it's not in play, but it is. It is the part of the brain that decides what you're going to pay attention to, and what your body's going to pay attention to, and what your nervous system is going to pay attention to. And so it's filtering everything through your current sense of worth. And if you're not setting up sort of the stopgap for the negativity and the stuff that beats you up, then it's going to let that through. It's your job to make sure it's doing the bodyguard job that it's supposed to do.
It's the most beautiful and terrible thing in the world is that your reticular activating system, your subconscious, like it's always working to prove you right. And so if you hold those beliefs down deep that you don't deserve anything, then it's going to see whatever needs to be seen to confirm that for you. And you're going to, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss all this stuff, even when it's right in front of you, because your brain's not going to let you see it. It's weirdly nice and terrible at the same time.
Yeah. But then to your point, when you start showing up differently, like even in the small ways, like daily, and putting these practices into place, your RAS, or the reticular activating system, it will begin to shift. It starts to recognize like, oh, hold on. Whoa. We're doing this now. Oh, we're allowed to feel good. Oh, you mean we can want things? We can do things for us? Well, that's okay. All right. Well, then let me filter that in and filter all the other stuff out.
Yeah. And look, all this honesty with yourself and true ownership and true confirmation, like it's stuff we really break down in the book, because it's one of the most powerful ways to retrain your brain. It's not wishful thinking. It's not lying to yourself, but it's real.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, if you're listening to this and thinking, how do I start doing this though? Like, how do I actually put this in practice? Well, that's what the book is for. That really is your next step.
And look, this podcast starts the conversation, but the book walks you through it all.
All right. So here we are. You've confirmed the truth. You've owned your beliefs and you've practiced your way into something new. And this is where people expect some sort of like finish line. But actually, that's not even remotely true. Like that actually becomes your new beginning.
Look, when you shift one piece of your life, you don't get to keep everything else the same. Like you can't change your relationship with rest and expect for your work to stay untouched. You can't start treating yourself with worth and still stay in the dynamics that you've been walking in all along.
No, you're right. It doesn't work that way. It just so happens that everything changes everything.
I mean, people are going to think that we're being poetic. This whole circular thing we just did, everything changes everything, and that changes the nature of everything.
Well, say it ain't so.
It's not poetic. It's cause and effect, truly. So when you confirm what's true and when you own what you believe and you start intentionally practicing sort of a different way, your entire system has to adjust. Your relationship shift, your boundaries sharpen, your goals evolved. I mean, all the things.
Yeah. And maybe like even most powerfully, maybe your sense of what's possible for you and your nature and your everything. I think that starts to expand. You get the opportunity to see things that you probably wouldn't have noticed before. By no means, not because they weren't there, but because I think now your identity, yourself, your brain, your body, they start to recognize these and they start to accept them into your nature.
Yeah. So look, if you're listening today and you think like, I don't even know where to start, just remember, it's not about doing it all at once. No overnight overhauls. It's about starting the shift. One belief, one decision, maybe one act of kindness toward yourself.
Yeah, give that gift to yourself for sure. And look, if you need a guide for that, the book, it's built to walk you through it in just that way. So not to give you some rigid system to follow, but to help you build your own system, your own framework.
Yeah, because this isn't about fixing yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about building a life that actually reflects that.
Yeah, so if you're ready to make that next step, grab the book. Practice the reps, put in the time, change your lens, like look through the lens of coin, and I promise your life follows.
Yeah, and we're not here to hype you up for 5 minutes and send you back to the same patterns. We're here to remind you of something very real, and that's that you have worth, that you are worth it. And not later, not after you heal more, or, not proving, not pushing. Like right now, even in the mess and even with all the questions.
Yeah. And maybe that truth even feels too big. Like maybe that feels too heavy to believe in just yet. That's fine. You don't have to feel it to begin acting like it. Because every time you choose to rest without apology, every time you get to speak gently to yourself and give yourself some positivity, every time you say no to something that goes against your grain and you mean it, you are laying these bricks of foundation for your own self-worth, to value you.
Yeah. And you don't have to build the whole house today, but pick up the hammer. Start where you are, because where we are, that's where we're starting. We start every day and we just grab the hammer. Like, we're not gurus, we're just hammer grabbers, because it's for us, like, it's not just changing your mood. So it's not inspirational or hype and that kind of thing. It's about changing your mind. You're changing the way the world meets you, because you're going to change the way you meet yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, that's the work. That's putting in the practice. That's putting in the reps, is showing up and doing it just that way. And it's worth it, because just so happens you're worth it.
That's good stuff. I dig it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out coinyourlife.com and find us on social media.